Hello everyone. Welcome to those of you joining us from the States. A very good morning. And to those of you on call from India, good evening. My name is Amit, and welcome to this webinar. I work in the sales team here at VConstruct. Today we are joined by my co-host and main speaker for this session today, Mandar Raje, who's our business unit head. Mandar, you can go next. So just before we begin, I'd like to tell you briefly about Reconstruct. We provide services and solutions to the construction industry in the areas of virtual design and construction, project controls management, accounting, and software development. And we can go more into that later. But main thing about us is building better, faster, and smarter is in our DNA. And our main products are model-based scheduling tools, BIM-based plugins, and Decilean, which you're about to learn more about in today's webinar. So you must be wondering, what is this webinar about? And it's mainly about helping you to successfully make decisions based on choosing by advantages to help decide between complex choices in a transparent, consistent manner. And what we're going to do is we're going to showcase that with Decilean, our decision-making platform. You can go next, Mandar. Yeah, so this actually brings us to Mandar himself, our speaker for today. He's the business unit head here at VConstruct. And Mandar, you can, over to you for for the rest.
Yeah, thanks, Amit. Again, good morning, good evening, everyone. I'm assuming some level of familiarity with choosing by advantages. So I just have like a couple of slides on choosing by advantages. It's a collaborative, transparent decision-making system developed by Jim Sir. Uh, we are in construction technology, and what we know is on construction projects, a lot of important decisions, right? From, vendor selection to selection of different materials, say if you're choosing for, exterior wall and so on. There are a lot of important decisions made during the course of construction. And many of them get made based on like prior experience. They are very subjective. They're not very well documented. Uh, and uh, the fact that the decision making is not optimized does translate into, I mean, it does have an impact, right? It does have an impact in terms of, in terms of cost, or in terms of, the delays that can get caused. Um, and therefore, CBA, choosing by advantages, is followed quite strongly in lean construction community, right? Has many flavors, but one of the more popular flavor is the tabular method, which is what we have implemented through Decilean, which is our web-based app. Uh, and the main purpose, like the thought process behind CBA, is to think of alternatives, differentiate them based on importance of advantages. And in my next slide, I'll go in some level of detail. And just to complete it, like CBA decisions are rooted in facts, right? You are looking at alternatives, their advantages, not just focused on cost, right? And they're anchored to the context. That is to say that, uh, the decision I'll make in one context may not be the same decision I make in other contexts and so on, right? So that's quick intro to choosing by advantages. To go to next level of detail, what are the steps in making decisions through choosing by advantages? First is to identify the alternatives, right? So what are different choices I have? What are different options I have, right? Then to define factors, right? Factors, okay, what are the factors? Which are the factors I'm going to compare these alternatives on, right? you define specific criteria. There could be like must meet criteria or must have criteria and good to have criteria, right? If any of the alternatives does not mean, must have criteria, meet must have criteria, then you are obviously going to eliminate that particular alternative, right? And just to make it more relevant, I have like one very relatable example that I'll, walk you through our platform. Uh, I don't know if there was any question. I think feel free to unmute and ask the question. Uh, and so uh, you have a criteria definition for a criteria. Say for example, if you're choosing between different cars, right? The fuel economy could be a factor, right? And your criteria is, hey, I want at least like 25 miles per gallon, for example, right? That could be your criteria. And then for each of the alternatives, you define attributes based on that particular criteria. You weigh, all of the attributes, and we're going to go through the process. This is just to give you the flavor of, how the process flows. Um, and then at the end, you evaluate cost data, right? So cost is not the only factor. In fact, cost comes towards the very end, and you are, comparing alternatives, factors, attributes, assigning advantages, and so on before you come to the cost, right? So you're kind of making a holistic judgment that is, well documented, right? And one thing I'll say is like our experience with choosing by advantages has been that the rigor of it, the structure of it is appreciated by the stakeholders you present it to, right? So that is choosing by advantages. I'm going to go in example. On purpose, I've chosen like very simple example, right, to make it like most relatable because depending on your level of familiarity, choosing by advantages can get little complex to cover in like 30 minutes. Therefore, going with like very relatable example. Uh, so the example here is like, hey, I want to choose uh, you know, I want to gift my daughter a mobile phone. Holiday season is coming in, so perfect time to gift something. And let's say it's her first phone, right? Mobile phone. So which one should I go with? Like, is iPhone 17, Samsung S25, uh, Google Pixel 10, right? And then why don't we leverage choosing by advantages and Decilean, which is the implementation of choosing by advantages, uh, to help us make that decision. So I think let's jump right in. Uh, so here I have kind of already laid out the details here in order to save time. But this is a web-based Decilean is web-based application, and we'll share the link towards the end of this presentation. You can simply go in and register using your, work account, Gmail account, whatnot, and start your free trial and start making decisions. I'm not going to cover that part. That part is obvious, so not going to cover that. So let's come to the decision, right? So decision we want to make is, hey, choose the best mobile phone, for holiday gifting, right? And some of the fields are obvious, not going to go over them. Um, I think the important field is like stakeholders. So any decision that is made, Decilean is choosing by advantages collaborative framework. So it's not like I'm making this decision alone, but maybe there are a set of collaborators here in a real business decision. So I can add them to the system, right? And invite them to kind of make the decision. Tags, I can give different tags so that they are searchable. You can search through your past decisions based on tags and learn from those decisions, right? So this is just sort of step one of the workflow. Uh, start of the workflow for choosing by advantages. I've just kind of listed the decision here. Uh, Going to alternatives, right? So again, at the beginning, I said, hey, these are three alternatives, the latest sort of models of like top mobile phones, Apple iPhone, Samsung, Google Pixel 10. And I'm just adding more information here. I'm just, identifying the alternatives here. In typical business decisions, we have seen it depends. Like if it is vendor selection, I think there are always like three or more alternatives is what we have seen, where it becomes more meaningful. Uh, Going to factors. So we have laid out the alternatives, but what are the factors on which we are going to compare iPhone 17 versus Samsung versus Pixel, right? So I have chosen three factors, right? Just for the sake of this discussion, like its battery life, is a camera, and is a screen, right?
Hey there, good
Uh,
morning. How you doing?
yeah, hey, good morning. Uh,
Good.
yeah, go
A
ahead.
guy, one,
Yeah,
a guy who wants to do your physical therapy has tried to call you. So he's called me. I guess he left you a message. It's a 407 area code number. He wants to come by at 10:30 tomorrow. And then I've also asked him to get us a regular standing schedule. So will 10:30 work for you tomorrow?
I think, is it Robert? Maybe I think some crossing of messages, but I'll continue. So
Yeah, Mandar, sorry
uh,
about that. I've muted Robert for the time being. Robert, you can come in
okay,
anytime if you wish.
yeah, thanks, Amit. So going to the factors, hey, which are the factors we are going to compare? Those three alternatives on. So I said battery life, camera, and the screen. So starting with battery life, right? Again, CBA choosing by advantages has the distinction between like must-have criteria and want to have. Must-have criteria, I'm saying that, hey, at least 12 hours of like active use time, right? Otherwise, no fun, right, for younger people. And want to have criteria is, okay, can it last like all day, which is preferred, and higher battery life is better. And similarly for camera, uh, you know, you can go with like I said that, hey, can it have at least like 25 megapixels, right, camera, and uh, higher the better, right? Similarly, like flat screen, screen, in terms of PPIs and in terms of screen size and so on. And there could be like lot many factors, right? Just to keep it simple, I've done three factors here, but in real life, like especially like something on mobile, the app ecosystem, like how easy it is to make, image sharing, video sharing with your, classmates, friends, that could be a factor, right? So there could be like lot many factors. Typically in important business decisions, we have seen, at least 7 to 8 factors. Like serious decisions at least have those many factors, if not more, right? But just want to keep it like simple here. So these are my three factors. And for each of the factors, I've defined the criteria like in two buckets, want to have criteria and must have criteria, right? That's what I've done here. Now going to attributes, right? So the factors are listed here: battery life, camera, and screen, right? And now essentially what I'm doing is for like each of the factors, each of the alternatives, which is iPhone 17, Samsung, Google Pixel 10, I'm saying, hey, does it meet the must-have criteria, right? So must-have criteria is, hey, at least 12 hours of active use time. iPhone 17 just barely, there 13 hours of use time. Samsung, and I've taken like somewhat taken from like their tech specs, 20 hours of use time. Google Pixel, maybe more. They say 24 hours plus, right? So that is how the attributes are listed for each of the alternatives, right? And then it's a similar exercise across each of the factors, like how they weigh on camera, for example, right? What is the megapixel size here for 17 and iPhone 17 and Galaxy and Google Pixel? You can see they're fairly close apart, right? It's not so much of a difference there when you say camera, right? Screen, again, they're 6.2, 6.3 inches, and technologies, of course, differ, like XDR and, their PPIs differ, but yeah. So I've taken the tech specs here, and those are, the attributes. I think interesting. They all meet the must-have criteria across all of the factors, because if something is no, that decision gets eliminated, right? Automatically, because if you're not meeting the must-have criteria, it's like decision is eliminated. um, and then we kind of get into advantages, right? Again, we have implemented choosing by advantages workflow. It's a well-defined workflow. So for each of the factors, again, you know, you'd say, hey, on battery life, which is the least preferred attribute, right? So it's simple decision here: 13 hours, 20 hours, 24 hours. So iPhone 17 is not doing all that well, at least in terms of battery life, right? And then what you do here is you say decide the advantage of like each attribute. So Samsung and Google Pixel, and then I have to make a choice between the two. And I say, hey, Google Pixel with 24 hours, it's pretty high battery life. It lasts me longer than a day, right? So that's how we settle battery life. Uh, we go to camera again, which of them is like least preferred, right? Here I'm saying Google, it's a difficult choice. Everything starts with 48. Samsung has, a little bit more, also more on like ultra wide and telephoto. So, therefore Google have, and it could be, it's a collaborative, framework. So typically these decisions or, selections happen more collaboratively, right? And different points could be could come in as part of discussion that you could add to, attributes, which is the text listed here. Here in this case, I'm saying, hey, Google Pixel 10 here, which is the least preferred attribute, and then going to ranking the other two, I say, hey, you know what, like Samsung Galaxy is, comes out the best here, right? And similarly, we do it for screen. I think just to save time, I'm going to skip that. It's very similar. And then importance of advantages. What it is I say, hey, I evaluated all these advantages, but which is the most important advantage, for me as far as my decision is concerned? And to me, it somehow may not translate to the next generation, my daughter, but I'm saying, hey, battery life is, is super important for me, right? So I say this is the most important advantage. And what that means is I'm giving it 100 points, 100 on 100, kind of, right? Hey, this is most important, right? And then what I do is, basis that, I weigh the other
Hello, Mandar.
advantages.
Mandar, can I
Yeah,
ask a question at this point?
sure.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
when we use the CBA, we found that deciding the priority of the advantages before we start using them is helpful because the decision makers are forced to prioritize the factors before rather than kind of reverse engineering it at the end to get their emotional pick. Have you found that to be true, or does that not matter so much?
Uh, what? I think at least few of the decisions kind of we have been part of, like uh, yes, I think some prep work before helps, but it also adds a bias, right? Like uh, we feel like what we have seen is like forcing people to collaborate, like in meetings like this and getting their inputs, uh, it helps. So at least like the way we have implemented, uh, it is forcing collaboration, because this adding of this weight here can be done by only one individual, right? And many individual can collaborate on this and make updates, but it's a single field. It's not like you're scoring your own way, I'm scoring my own way, and then we are kind of merging. So what we have seen is, although we may have like certain order of priority known, going at it collaboratively through like one or more meetings makes it more meaningful.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Cool. Um, yeah. So then going like so we listed kind of the most important advantage, which we say which I said is battery life for me. And then it's some of the other advantages which are most important. We gave 100 to battery life and then arranged them like camera and screen, uh, which were the other advantages, kind of winning advantages in their category. And then also weight like the other advantages as well, right? And this is where I think, Steve, to your question, it's more collaboration and so on. Uh, and so essentially, we are assigning weights to those advantages. And once all of this is done, then we go to cost, right? So cost doesn't come into picture at like step one. It comes at the very end. Yes, cost is important, but not the only kind of deciding factor, if you will, right? And so, I've listed the cost here. There is notion of life cycle cost, which is important in, real decisions related to like construction projects. So I've listed the cost here, and then we go to the result analysis, right? So result analysis,
Mandar, can I ask another question?
y- sure, yeah, go
So
ahead, yeah.
So I understand the philosophy of considering the cost last because we're trying to focus on advantages, not just cost. However, if there is a must-have criteria regarding, say, an upper limit of a budget for an item, so if the total budget for this selection is, let's just say, $100,000 for some decision,
Mhm.
that could be a first pass, right? A must-have. If something's $200,000, then it should be eliminated before you go through the rest of the process for that item, right?
Uh, s- Yeah, so the way we approach it, yes, it should be eliminated. But the way, at least we approach it is like, hey, it's a very, well-defined framework. And can it get eliminated at this step, at this particular step, right? So what we are seeing here, for example, is uh, a graph of like cost versus importance, right? And here your like $200,000 alternative is going to show, all the way to the right on the cost axis. And uh, maybe that's the way, that's the time to eliminate it. Uh, is how I would put it. I mean, can we add cost as a criteria, as like a factor itself in the decision making? I think slightly goes against the spirit of CBA, from to the extent I know, right?
Okay, all right, that's fair
Yeah,
enough. I like this
yeah,
graphical approach. We were doing it more numerical, but not graphing it. But this adds a little more understanding to it. That's good.
yeah. And that's precisely why this representation, because it shows like on cost versus importance axis. Uh, Now you're saying that, hey, iPhone, uh, it's like very high on cost axis, low in a way we kind of evaluated on uh, uh, the importance axis, whereas Google Pixel is like slightly lower on cost and higher on your importance. And therefore, I kind of, when I made this decision, I said, hey, let's go with Google Pixel 10. May not always happen, may not always happen, right? Something that is more expensive, it's very likely that it comes high on importance as well. And therefore, uh, the spirit of like CBA is forcing you to kind of think through all the alternatives, assign the weights, assign the advantages, importance of advantages, consider costs, and so on. It's not like, I don't think it's going to throw the winner all the time, right? So for example, if iPhone was same on x-axis, which is the cost axis, but higher on importance, the decision would have still been subjective, right? Here, there's a clear winner in terms of like your cost importance, not always so, right? So here, Google Pixel 10 is the winning decision. The application has like the product has download feature where, we kind of share the PDF also. Uh, and let me show it. If I can quickly show you the PDF. I know uh, the time is running short. Um, okay, maybe I just close my Bluebeam. Uh, but yeah, let me. So there is PDF also. Let me maybe make one more attempt at it. Yeah, here it is, right? So here, if I go page up, right? So here it's showing, the A3, and then the detailed decisions are kind of in downloaded PDF here, which can be shared, uh, with the right stakeholders, has all the information summarized, uh, for uh, the stakeholders who are not part of the decision, but still stakeholders is in the decision, right? Who are not involved in making the decision, but who are stakeholders, right? Business stakeholders. So that's a quick sort of a demo of choosing by advantages using Decilean. Again, you can go to like, I'll uh, maybe go back to the presentation here for the last slide. Um, yeah. I don't know, Amit, if you want to take it.
Yeah. I've pasted the link. You all can explore in the chat box. And there's also a QR code in case you would like to scan it quickly. Yeah, I think actually, Manda, we've covered pretty much everything, including where you all can go to, see, have a look at Decilean itself. And yeah, in case anyone has more questions, we are okay. Otherwise, we can wrap up. Does
Yeah,
anyone?
thanks guys for sharing this. This was interesting and helpful.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
No, welcome, Steve. Yeah, thank you. Any any other questions? Anyone?
Thank you for sharing.
Yep. Okay. So if no more questions, thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.